God. No! No!
Your friends, your network, your business, your credentials. Motherfucker!
What the f is going on?
These streamers suck, but that's fine, because it's intended. These games uniquely want you to fail harder than any other game you've played before. And I'm here to talk about what these games and this rage have unintentionally caused, especially within the past year. And it happens when you put someone in that's actually good at these games. A whole new boom of speedrunning. Since the dawn of games, game makers have tried to make games fun, manufacture happy emotion, but that's old thinking. We've done happy for too long. Enter rage.
You're a piece of game.
People don't put these games in the platformer genre, even though they technically exist there. Sometimes climb platformer, sometimes Fodian, based on the game that really kicked off the genre. But what I've heard the most is
Rage game.
Rage game. Rage game.
Rage game.
rage, a viewer-friendly emotion. There's a lot of games that players have fun with that aren't necessarily as fun for viewers to watch. It's funny to watch a streamer experience stress and pain and turmoil and hopefully eventual success. For the player/streamer, you're not entering the game hoping that you'll become enraged, but you accept it as the cost of playing it. It's worth it, I think. As someone who struggled through and eventually beaten at least these rage games, and then easily spent more time than all that took together speedrunning Mario 64, I can say that beating one of these games and achieving a speedrunning goal time both feel really good. Something that basically any other gaming achievement doesn't feel like it can do. And it's because you spent a lot more time pursuing the goal. You're more emotionally invested, and therefore will have a greater sense of accomplishment if you can reach the eventual goal. And that's entertaining. Where platformers have declined in popularity greatly since their golden age on early consoles, it's really cool to see that these platformers just market themselves by being fun games to watch. Every time one of these games gets popular in the streaming scene, it shakes up the speedrun community in a big way. This doesn't happen with most popularly streamed games, but for the climb platformer, it makes sense. Platformers in general have always been a staple of speedrunning. People like cool movement. The big gameplay twist here is this. A standard 2D platformer starts from the left and ends on the right side of the level, horizontal. A climb platformer just rotates that. Go from the bottom to top, vertical. Meaning you can have all the challenges of a standard 2D platformer with the added looming threat of falling and clanking and bumping and losing all your progress and having to repeat and torture. For a normal player, that is.
She was so hot.
For a speedrunner, that's fine. When they speedrun in another game, making a tragic mistake which would just cost 5 seconds might be enough to reset and try again. In this genre, if the speedrunner enters a tragic fall, they probably aren't going to hit the ground before they hit the reset button. Failure is a part of the speedrunner's nature. What's 5 seconds versus 5 minutes when they both end in just another reset? Also, these aren't just platformers where you go up. Sure, that's the backbone to all this, but because the purpose of these games is to be incredibly challenging, this new genre is actually finally creating some innovations to platformers overall through movement, which makes it that much more impressive to see a speedrunner master that movement. Speedrunning masters like Hoo7. He can never learn a baseline of this wacky movement in another game. He began as a fumbling pogo stick holder just like the rest of us. And yet, in a game where the average first playthrough might take 30 to something like 100 hours, he has the world record at 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Blast Bolt, world record holder for getting over it with Bennett Foddy. Another entirely unique movement system in the game that started this Foddian genre. He got the world record 2 years ago, and that world record broke the 1 minute barrier. A barrier I'm sure most people never thought could happen, and he's still the only one to have broken it. Psycop, Delil, Naiko, Nagato 12. Wow. It'd be amazing if these speedrunners even like each other anymore. Forget playing this game casually with 3 other players tied to you, holding you back, and a game where you could very easily call out your teammates for every tragic run failure. These 4 got the world record by working as one single unit. but it's motivating for a speedrunner to pick up a game that is a unique puzzle to master. Every game a gimmick, if you want to call it that. If you make a fun gimmick in a streamer torture game, congratulations, that's fun, especially for speedrunners. You might even get to go to the top of speedrun.com's most actively played games. But this level of popularity and this level of movement innovation begs the question, is this really a gimmick that'll die out? Or is this the beginning of a genre that'll keep growing? Let's get back to streamers because at least recently, they're taking an even bigger role. They've done a lot for these games, basically advertising them by playing them. Then, because they're popular, the viewer sees it at one point and would like to see it from different streamers as well. The initial popularity sometimes snowballs it into a Twitch meta, further exploding its popularity with streamers and viewers and speedrunners. This phenomenon has shown itself through many of these games so far, and within the past year, the demand is high. So, a lot of these games were made. Let's look at Get to Work. The creator, Isto, teamed up with popular streamer, Atriok, to create
the perfect stream game.
Isto has actually documented a lot of the creation of the game through his YouTube. This video in particular is a goldmine into knowing the philosophy behind making these rage games. The guiding principle for this game is that they wanted to make the perfect stream game, and streamers did play it. Big ones too. Suffered through it because that's what these games demand.
You're right, it's a stupid game.
And all this motivates the viewers to become a direct contradiction to what these silly streamers are doing. Be good at the game. Go fast. This is the first game where I've seen the creators recognize the speedrunning potential of these games on day one. They set up a speedrunning competition that would start on the same day as the release of the game, and there were a lot of speedrunners. Isto made a whole big video on that too, which I'd recommend. This genre, Faudian, streamer rage, whatever you want to call it, climb platformer, is probably the main thing that's getting fresh eyes that turn into speedrunners right now. We're in a spot where streamers are beginning to recognize the potential of these games. Get to Work is obviously that, but it's not the only one. This spot feels similar to how big AAA developers start to adapt genres that initially become successful from a smaller budget scene. Vampire Survivors to things like League of Legends' wildly successful game mode Swarm. H1Z1 kicked off the whole Battle Royale craze. Dark Souls was so popular that the popular genre is literally called Souls-like. Now, with the success of these streamer rage games, it's interesting to see that streamers are currently taking the role of AAA developers. And with streaming and speedrunning being activities that are commonly paired, speedrunning in general gets the AAA experience to an extent, putting more eyes and more players into the scene in general. Now, would we ever see actual AAA developers take on this rage game genre? Probably not. They put a lot of money in games and would like to appeal to a very wide audience if they can, which would include the person who barely games, or children with their little hands and their whiny brains. So, for this genre, streamers taking the place of AAA developers and speedrunners taking the place of a substantial amount of the players will do. So yeah, I don't know where it's all headed. I just know that this genre has a lot of steam pushing it around. And it's especially cool to see it considering every game that comes out of it tends to be a speedrunning hit. Speedrunners like to go fast, obviously. The way they move that fast is just up to these games' weird mechanics. So we regularly get to see new, unique speedruns getting very popular. And I love seeing speedrunning regularly get exciting new games. So I hope there's still plenty of innovation in store for this genre. It seems like there is. All right, I'm gone. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Bye.